Okay, good morning, everybody. We are here on day 4 of this 12th Conference of Parties to the UNTOC. My name is Ian Tennant. I'm the chair of the Alliance of NGOs on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. We are the umbrella body for all of the NGOs engaging on the crime and justice side of the UNODC, so for the UNTOC Conference of Parties, but also for the CCPCJ. I think we've just been discussing with the Secretariat actually the numbers of NGOs present here this week. Apparently there are 400 participants from civil society here. This is a real increase on previous years. And I think we've really worked hard as a group to expand the number of NGOs participating and also making sure that they're substantively contributing. In the plenary statements that we've seen, there's been very diverse, but also very concrete recommendations made by civil society. So thank you for everybody who's been taking part so actively. We've tried to contribute this week through our own interventions, but also through a civil society declaration, which we've published this week. 150 NGOs have signed up so far. We will present this at 2 p.m. tomorrow in a side event, which I believe is in this room. Yes, everybody's nodding. So thank you so much, Ambassador. I'm here with Ambassador Peter Burian. He is the ambassador of Slovakia to the UN and the OSCE and Austria and probably some countries as well.
No.
Okay.
Fortunately not.
Okay, good. He learned very recently of his nomination to be the president of this conference, and we've seen him chairing it very professionally, but also giving the space to civil society and making positive comments about the role we have to play, and making sure there's been really no restrictions on the apart from the 3 minutes that everybody gets on our time. So we're really grateful for the role that you've played. So I'll first give the floor to you for some opening remarks before we go into the questions.
Thank you, Jan, for introducing me. Thank you for the opportunity to meet with you. As Jan mentioned, actually, I learned about my nomination and then election only 2 days before the conference started. So I'm very humble, and also I am very much open for communication with all all member states. But in particular also with the civil society, because I'm a strong believer in the role of civil society in everything these organizations, but also governments are doing. And you have proven through those 4 days and beyond. And of course, I only absorbed what you were saying in your statements, but without any exaggeration, I considered your statements very inspiring, coming with concrete suggestions and above all, also sticking to 3 minutes, which of course, I was trying to enforce after I saw that there are so many delegations actually exceeding this limit, and I wanted to really give you a very decent space for your interventions. Once again, through my career, actually, I was working in different positions, but recently I was also working as ambassador at large of Slovakia for human rights. In this kind of endeavor, I had the opportunity to even strengthen my kind of insight into things, but also learn that many NGOs actually are doing their job not in the most kind of conducive environment. And that's why also my ambition will be to work with you, to listen to you, and maybe create a better space and better access for you to not only to the conference discussions, but also using your expertise in all processes, whether it's national review processes or in particular where I already heard from my colleagues, chairs of the working groups, that your contribution to the work of working groups and to the dialogues was very much instrumental. So I do not want to speak too long. We have like 1 hour for our discussion. I received some questions. Whenever I'm not able to respond very concretely, I will turn to the Secretariat. But I really consider this meeting rather as a platform for dialogue. I want to be more, even if it's probably not an expectation from you, in a more listening mode, because I want to create a picture what is being done, but even more what could be done, and in particular define your role in that process is better, and with the assistance of the Secretariat, but in particular with member states and signatories of the UNTOC to look into the procedures. And of course, I'm also humble because I understand the realities. Not everybody is so eager, I mean, to change those rules and create even more access for you. But once again, with your patience, with your kind of role in certain confidence building, with governments and participating states in this conference, I think we'll be able to do something. I'm a little bit disappointed, but this is my kind of personal observation. This is not connected with my role of the president, because I need to represent everybody, that most probably will not be able to agree on the decision 10, that most probably I will be asked, and it will be my pleasure to conduct further consultations. But once again, through your suggestions and ideas, maybe we can move this process, not repeating this cycle of consultations leading to nothing, but rather resolving this issue for a better access of NGOs, our partners, to the all proceedings of the conference and beyond. So on this, I will stop. But one thing I wanted to say, and again, I see the representative of youth here, so I was so pleased to hear their strong voice, and I hope in the future also we'll have more youth represented in our discussions, because also in this regard, I believe whatever we do will have future consequences. And if we do not listen to the youth and do not give them a place or even a driver's seat, then we'll miss many important points and they will face the consequences. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. As you know, we have some prepared questions, but what I will do is I will ask the person who's reading out the question, just in the spirit of what you've just described, to explain what their organization does.
Indeed.
Yeah, and why it's relevant for us here. So if I can ask Fide Birhan to go first, introduce yourself and then ask your question.
Thank you. This is Brooke Gamachu from FIDE Branch Charity Organization based in Ethiopia. Before I'm going to the question, first, congratulations and how I wish the best for your next career. My question is, how can the UNTOC COP enhance collaboration with civil society to strengthen global effort against transitional organized crime, and what is the role of the NGOs playing the shaping policy?
Thank you for this question. And more or less in my introductory remarks, I already stated my kind of intentions and objectives. Once again, I can do it only within the rules of procedure. But again, I will try with your assistance to do something more than just follow the rules, maybe look into what can be done within those rules, and also what can we do to change those rules if possible. But as it was mentioned by Jan, I'm pleased to see, and I was informed by the Secretariat that actually this year it's a record number of participants, more than 400 of individuals, but in terms of concrete number of organizations, it's 205, so it's excellent. I understand that our discussions are followed also online, but your direct participation here with us, ambassadors and so on, it's actually what can be better used for shaping even better and more concrete forms of our cooperation. I mentioned the role of NGOs in the review, national review processes. This is one thing which works in different settings, in different countries with different success. This should be something which I believe we should inspire those who are lagging behind to benefit from the role and involvement of civil society, because the review processes without the feedback coming from the grassroots, I think it's almost was nothing. So we need to really be sure that whenever we have those review processes, that you are there and you are listened to. And again, your criticism should be directed in a constructive way. And I mentioned the importance, which I also observed in my previous work as an EU special representative in Central Asia, that sometimes you need to have both sides really for developing trust and confidence between themselves. So once again, we need to have more discussions, maybe in close circles with member states and NGOs, and also in regional settings, because I see that step by step also I saw a great progress, even in some restrictive environments, when the governments realize really that you are really contributing, bringing concrete feedback to the processes which help really the governments to address those challenges, which of course are identified in the convention with the clarity, with a bigger vigor and better efficiency. So this would be my kind of ambition. Once again, I mentioned that there are certain member states who want to do more for creating better space for you, better access, not only to dialogues, working groups, but also to our plenary discussions. Once again, I was pleased to hear what you were saying. This was very inspiring, bringing new out-of-the-box solutions, and this is also something when you are meeting with each other through side events and many other events, so you can inspire each other. So this would be also my kind of intention to contribute to better using this space we have here during the conference, but also in this intersession period of 2 years, because I also discuss it with some partners, member states, ambassadors. We have an influx of side events within 4 or 5 days. This should not be taken that we'll resolve here everything, but on the contrary, I would love to spread those side events, those interactions into a larger period. Again, maybe I'm too ambitious, maybe I'm not very realistic, but I, through my own perspective, I see that you invest a lot into those side events, but sometimes because of involvement of delegates, of your colleagues in different other settings. So we miss the opportunity really to have everybody who wants to be there. So I will stop here.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And also just to thank your country as well for being an active member of the group of friends of multi-stakeholder participation. This has really transformed the organization of those advocating for civil society space. And, we know that the draft decision has been tabled. I think we don't know exactly what's happening in those discussions, but we hope for a good outcome.
On this, once again, I do not want to prejudge the outcome, but it doesn't look promising that there are still some outstanding issues to be resolved. But once again, the most probable outcome will be that this decision will be not postponed, that we'll try to have some kind of ground for continuing the consultations, not only just before the conference, but using those 2 years as to achieve something before the conference, and hopefully next conference will be used for a very concrete decision on this matter.
Thank you. I'll go to the next question, and Darren Brookbanks from the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime. Please introduce yourself and organization, and you can ask the question.
Good morning, Mr. UNTOC COP President. I'm Darren Brookbanks. I work as a multilateral engagement officer at the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime. I imagine what we do is implicit in the name of the organization, but our work is very much geared towards research and analysis around disrupting transnational organized crime and working on the building blocks of a global strategy against organized crime. I guess one of the questions we found ourselves asking at this conference was, is the UNTOC working? And we engaged with that question at a side event yesterday afternoon around a research paper that was just released to that end in the last week. And turning to the question for this morning's meeting, Mr. UNTOC COP President, civil society continues to have to fight for inclusion in the multilateral space. GTOC experienced this right up until the first day of the previous UNTOC COP. But civil society remains crucial in the fight against transnational organized crime. With hybrid participation in general and pre-recorded videos in the general debate no longer possible for most at this conference, what is the UNTOC COP doing to ensure that civil society have as much access to participate in the UNTOC COP as possible? Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is an important question, and I will be speaking under the control of the Secretary, but also I will like to turn to my colleague, maybe to add a few details. But as I understand, during the COVID situation, the practice of organizing hybrid meetings and allowing more online participation was namely allowed or created for really more involvement of those participants who were restricted in traveling because of the COVID restrictions. So now, as I understand, the hybrid participation will be more as a practice within the work of working groups for the constructive dialogues, and we'll be looking how actually still create more space for engagement and for the participation. But is as much as I can say on this matter. I think within the regular sessions, the participation is a different matter. But what is different, I would like to ask my colleague from the Secretariat.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thanks for the question. Well, the space for the participation of non-governmental stakeholders is actually foreseen. It's foreseen in the convention, in the spirit of the convention. It's foreseen in the rules of procedure of the conference of the parties. Of course, this involvement is increasing, and as mentioned by His Excellency, everyone is witnessing with pleasure this increase. Of course, here we would differentiate between the conference and the subsidiary bodies, the participation at the constructive dialogues following the working groups. Due to austerity measures, unfortunately, the hybrid component was discontinued. It was discontinued, of course, for both member states, IGOs, and NGOs. Nevertheless, the web TV continues to operate. Of course, it's definitely not the same, but as far as the constructive dialogues are concerned, as mentioned by His Excellency, hybrid participation will continue, and we already witness increases and more engagement, and we look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. So I feel that your direct in-person participation is very important for us, for this networking, for interaction with member states, with your governments. Sometimes when you do not have a proper kind of channels of communication, maybe you can find more opening for discussions here. So this is something, once again, I will very much support and encourage. But let's see what we can do, and any suggestions from your side might be very useful for me to understand how we can move this process and how we can better open the space for you.
We appreciate that. Thank you to you, Ms. President, and to the Secretariat. Next question, I'm going to introduce Anna Alvazzi del Frate from Kenneth Knowledge for Good Governance.
Thank you very much, and thank you. And yes, thank you for the introduction. I'm going to read this question that was initially from Victim Support Europe. The delegate had to leave, but I had the privilege to moderate their side event, so I care a lot about their issues. The question is, what is the role of international cooperation and partnerships in preventing the victimization of individuals and dismantling groups or markets of individuals working in more than one country to plan and execute illegal business ventures? Thank you.
Thank you. You know it better than I do through your practical involvement that international cooperation is crucial for really prosecuting criminals and also helping victims to really achieve justice. I guess really we have already established mechanisms of international cooperation, also allowing closer interaction between different governments, neighboring countries, and so on. We have this mechanism in the EU very well developed, and also other regional organizations are looking into it. So I believe on one hand, we need to better use the mechanisms and provisions we have, but on the other hand, look into loopholes and identify what is not working and really close those gaps and loopholes. That's why I believe also this conference is so important, to hear different experiences and then reflect them into creating or negotiating other protocols, other instruments. And once again, there needs to be a political will, first of all, for doing that. We need to really do everything possible as not to allow safe havens for criminals to be used for their protection at the expense of the protection of victims. So these are things, once again, I do not want to enter into details because it would be too rude from my side, because I need to look closer what actually also my country can do and so on. But I think this regional cooperation context and cross-border cooperation is key. And then, of course, actually limiting these possibilities by limiting the countries which do not allow extradition and so on. This could be also a good way to proceed. Thank you very much. Maybe if some colleagues want to add something. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Indeed, as you kindly mentioned, and international cooperation in itself is an obligation on UNTOC parties. So from the obligation point of view, perhaps also the work of NGOs is very important to shed light on the areas where this cooperation is actually perhaps not ideal in like extradition cases, etc. Thank you.
Yeah. But indeed, I'm also chairing the Security Committee in the OEC. We had several discussions on topics which were also discussed here. The prevention of trafficking in cultural properties, trafficking in illegal trafficking of human beings, attacks against journalists, and many other things, once again. And we realize how it is important to, first of all, by countries to observe their commitments and obligations. We can put anything on the paper. If it's not actually translated into real steps, then the results, the efficiency of action is very much limited. That's why, once again, this could be also another topic, how to use the national review mechanisms for identifying those gaps and loopholes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I will now ask Lisa Hartefeld of the Wildlife Justice Commission to introduce herself, organization, ask the next question.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ian. Thank you. So my name is Lisa Hartefeld. I work for the Wildlife Justice Commission, and we are an organization that works hand in hand with law enforcement across global supply chains to help disrupt and dismantle transnational organized criminal networks that profit from wildlife, timber, and fish. And we use those findings to also help inform policymakers, also at the UNTOC level, because there are such important provisions under the UNTOC, such as, for example, the use of special investigative techniques that can really effectively tackle this form of organized crime. So my question to you today is, as the UNTOC is an important tool in preventing and combating transnational organized crimes that affect the environment, so that includes wildlife trafficking, how can this pressing issue be prioritized beyond this COP? And what role do you see for civil society as a partner therein? Thank you.
Again, do not expect very concrete answers from my side, but it's more or less similar further strengthening efforts to adopt new and make best use of existing legal and policy frameworks. This one way to address it. But the other way is really make sure that we have a good awareness of all involved in prosecuting, in buying those stuff which is being smuggled, and without really, first of all, interagency cooperation, without involvement of civil society in those processes, educating ordinary citizens about it, and then, of course, pressing on the governments to do more about it, not too much can be done. So these are really very similar kind of issues as fighting any kind of challenge. Without national efforts combined with regional and global efforts, creating new tools, new instruments, we will be powerless, because all these smugglers are moving faster with better and more sophisticated approaches using new technologies, new means. That's why also we need to be up to the speed when addressing those problems. And unfortunately, really, smuggling of animals in general, wildlife is becoming very, how to call it, dangerous phenomenon because it's destroying our nature, which cannot be passed to future generation. That's why also I'm pleased to see that more and more attention and understanding of member states is devoted to environment and nexus between environment and crime, and that we also have a draft resolution on the table. I hope it will be successful, but once again, maybe also this could be something for discussion to lead to more concerted action and maybe new legal instruments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. For the next question, we're going to ask Gaurav Rajduta from the Global Vision India Foundation.
Good morning, Mr. President. I'm Gaurav Rajdatta from Global Vision India Foundation. I'm a lawyer, and our NGO mostly helps the traffic survivors in the Indo-Bangladesh border area and Indo-Myanmar. So we help them by providing legal counsel and also represent them in the courts in various jurisdictions in India. So my question to you is today, how can member states better collaborate with stakeholders to ensure that trafficking survivors receive adequate access to justice and effective remedies within the UNTOC framework?
Very important question and challenge, really, because the human trafficking, especially human trafficking also linked to conflicts in different regions, is becoming a very dangerous fact, and more needs to be done really to work with all the stakeholders and once again build awareness of what is at stake if we do not protect those most vulnerable who really need to leave their country, their region, just to save their life. And of course, they need to survive. That's why they are so vulnerable when looking for a job, when looking for food, and so on. So this understanding should be then translated into more human rights-based approaches, but also into more kind of victims-oriented kind of action, because sometimes I see it, but once again, take me with some kind of understanding that I'm only talking about something I see and know, but more needs to be done. Sometimes we really confuse those who are escaping those conflicts and so on with actually perpetrators, and that's why sometimes there is such a hostility of the local environment when you see those people. So it makes the life of those refugees miserable and create even bigger vulnerability of those persons for the illicit activities of human rights traffickers, and in the end also prosecution of these cases, actually bringing those traffickers to justice is a key element. But on the other hand, and I do not want to speak for too long on this, also creating better conditions for those people to stay, at least in neighboring countries, creating shelters and so on, but then creating conditions for their return back to their own countries, because nobody is living just for tourism in this kind of situation, but really living because they want to save their lives and lives of their children.
Okay. Thank you. The next question we will ask Yeshi Chodon Lama from Kathmandu. If you are here. Sorry, I can't see if you are here. No? Okay, so I will ask this question. I will not pretend I'm from Kathmandu, but I will ask the question. How can states ensure that their crime prevention efforts and criminal justice responses are gender sensitive and inclusive, particularly in addressing the needs of women and children affected by organized crime?
Yeah. On this, again, I will be quite general, but I think the best way is really, once again, to implement what we agreed that might be the way of addressing this problem, this threat. And the protocol now is in its third decade, and we should collectively work and advocate for those implementation actions, because once again, we need to make sure that whatever is in the protocol, it's not just the purpose of a nice text and so on, but the implementation and international cooperation for helping countries, because this is very important. Not every government has an ability, resources, and so on to implement, to build capacities and so on. That's why we need to have a better understanding of problems. This can be only done by discussions like we have today. And on the other hand, we also have to have means and mechanisms for helping those who cannot really generate more resources for addressing those issues and for building capacities to be helped by countries who can provide those resources. But once again, this is also very important, and this is also part of our discussion. That's why it's so important to fight corruption, because also everybody has only limited resources, and if those resources which are provided for assistance are misused or do not reach the target, then we are weakening also this kind of solidarity and also provision of these funds to those who need them. That's why also we need to discuss how to protect those funds against being misused and reach their destination.
Thank you. I will. We're now on question 8. So I will ask Tariq Kosa. So we're here now from the Center for Governance Research, Pakistan.
Thank you, Excellency. I represent the Center for Governance Research, Pakistan, which is representative of 35 NGOs and CSOs and 65 national experts that are facilitating in the UNTOC review process mechanism in Pakistan. My question is quite relevant in the context that you yourself have been former ambassador at large on human rights. So my question is, what, in your view, are the key challenges faced by the states in safeguarding human rights and protection of victims of organized crimes, especially women and children? How can you bridge the acrimonious divide between the authoritarian tendencies of certain state actors and democratic aspirations of the hapless citizens at the receiving end? What is the way forward to achieve the rule of law and due process in the current global environment? Thank you.
And beyond my capacity to really now give you a proper answer, but my kind of reaction to your question is that we cannot make excuses for those approaches, for heavy-handed kind of action, which is disrespecting the principles of human rights. because instead of really resolving those issues, we are creating even bigger problems. I know that it's easy to say, look, for the governments which have to feed people and do something to insist on certain approaches which they consider less important, less urgent, and they think that somebody is trying to teach them. I think this is a very kind of difficult challenge, how to find this kind of way of explaining to governments that rules-based approach, human rights-based approach is actually providing better results and creating better economic situation for those governments to have enough resources for addressing those things. So I think, again, better education, better communication between peers, between neighbors, within regional organizations. When some it's sometimes easier to receive certain criticism from peers, neighbors, than coming from some international organizations or from partners from the West. That's why also I believe this South-South communication is so crucial, and peer-to-peer kind of assistance and advice might help also. But I have no illusion. Look, we have still too many countries which are resorting to repression rather than to addressing those issues through a very comprehensive and once again a rules-based approach. I believe the only way how to do it is to show that the other approach based on human rights, rule of law, is more efficient and more productive. This is my kind of humble answer to your very important question.
Very fundamental issues to the discussions we're having.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Okay, I think we have the last question of the people that are here. So we will ask Lilian Nyangasi to ask a question, and then if there's time, maybe we can open for additional questions from the floor. Lilian, the floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Lilian Nyangasi from Set Free to Thrive, Nairobi, Kenya. However, today I will ask the question on behalf of Action Center for Integral Youth Development Africa. We have data already that can enlighten both national and international opinions on organized crime in the Democratic Republic of Congo, on human trafficking, illicit trafficking in small arms and light weapons, on mafia groups, on corruption, on drugs and money laundering. How can we make it easier to update this data and organize activities to combat this scourge?
Thank you for this question, and I would love to more hear from you what you think about it. But I think once again I would just say that we need to support national efforts to better monitor those phenomena and all these issues. And I believe the national ownership of all processes is fundamental. But once again, we need to help all member states to build appropriate capacities and also educate those who are doing the monitoring on both sides, the government and NGOs, how to properly identify the most important problems, challenges, and violations also, and then really build the capacity to prosecute, but also make corrections in policies, but also in the way how we are then treating those who commit those violations, not just putting them into prison, but also trying to re-educate them and bring them back to a normal life where maybe also these kind of past experiences which or crimes they were committing might help through the perspective of those who are committing those crimes and realize that they were wrong, how to benefit from this kind of thinking and also look to the issue from the perspective of those who were committing the crime and were corrected. But this, again, more like philosophical kind of issue. But once again, I would like to hear more about your experiences, but also, once again, to create more space for you to discuss it and by your own national experiences then inspire improvement of or creating new protocols and mechanisms of international cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I've promised 2 people so far who have been pursuing me throughout the week for the opportunity to ask questions. And I think you may have noticed, Mr. President, there's somebody with a fabulous outfit on at the back of the room. She's traveled all the way from the Amazon rainforest to be here with us. And I think I'm not mistaken in saying that this is the first time there have been a group of indigenous leaders here at the UNTOC Comprehensive Party. She is one of them. So I don't know if you maybe she will need help with translation. So if somebody maybe Marcelo, Spanish, Portuguese or Spanish, Português or Espanhol.
Português? Obrigada.
Okay, you can translate.
Burangara, Mitiaui. Bom dia, saudações às forças da natureza.
Good morning to everyone.
Sou Tainá Marajoara, venho do povo originário Aruã Marajoara, da Amazônia brasileira.
My name is Tamara. I come from
Tainá Marajoara,
Marajoara in Brazil,
da Amazônia.
the Amazonas of Brazil, yes.
Nosso arquipélago, que é o arquipélago do Marajó, a ilha, que é a ilha do Marajó.
She's from the island of Maranhão.
Marajó Island é dos lugares onde há o maior tráfico de pessoas e exploração sexual de crianças do mundo.
The island is experiencing lots of trafficking, especially with children.
Contraditoriamente, estamos localizados na Amazônia, onde tem a maior biodiversidade do planeta.
They are located in the Amazons, where there is the biggest.
Onde os nossos direitos também são violados por conta da subalternização cultural e biopirataria.
The rights are being violated in piracy based on
biopirataria. Então, gostaríamos de saber como que essa conferência e também a UNTOC poderia considerar em seus documentos, resoluções e protocolos.
We would like to know how this conference and the protocols will help us
de forma mais efetiva os impactos do crime organizado e crimes ambientais
to combat organized crimes and crimes against the environment
que causam impacto direto às culturas alimentares
that causes the impact is directly affecting the communities
e à soberania alimentar.
Affects the communities and the food process and the independence to grow foods.
Porque o crime organizado também é fator gerador de fome, de miséria.
Because organized crime is also linked with misery, poverty, and the lack of food.
Quando as indústrias globais e grandes corporações se apropriam de nosso patrimônio genético, do conhecimento tradicional e das nossas manifestações culturais e tecnologias ancestrais.
The problem comes because big corporations take over the land with technologies and lack of opportunities for the originals.
Sem cumprir benefícios partilhados com o território.
And they do not share the territories that they occupied.
Nós, enquanto povos defensores das florestas, das águas e do futuro da humanidade,
We are the defenders of flora and fauna and the water and the communities.
não podemos mais ser mortos para que o mundo possa comer.
And we cannot be being killed anymore. And
Precisamos pensar em sistemas alimentares justos e que os direitos sejam garantidos, com responsabilidade à comunidade global. Thank you.
we need to think about the lack of food that is happening in the community. And we would want to know solutions and how we can tackle those problems. And thank you.
Pode responder em espanhol, se quiser.
You can answer in Spanish if you would like.
I'm working on my Spanish because my grandson is actually half Spanish, but unfortunately I need to first learn Spanish, but it might take some time.
I'll translate.
Thank you. I would respond in two ways. First of all, I believe the conference is the right place to listen to the testimonies as we have just heard. Because if we do not understand, if we do not hear, if we do not register those problems, then it's very difficult to find and define the best ways how to tackle them. So this is one thing. That's why I very much appreciate and commend you taking such a long way of coming here to Vienna, because without this interaction, we would miss this kind of opportunity to learn about your fate and ordeal of your people. On the other hand, once again, and we have discussed it, we need to improve the international instruments and address those issues which were not properly or detailedly addressed in UNTOC and other conventions. But even in this situation, I believe, and I might be corrected, UNTOC is providing enough legal ground also for addressing those issues which you mentioned, organized crime, human trafficking, and a link between organized crime and damage which is being created by big corporations to the nature. And you mentioned it, and I was pleased to hear it. And I really also receive it this way, that the indigenous people are defenders of nature and human and fauna. And that's why we need to create a better protection to preserve this unique heritage, which if disappears again, the diversity of this earth of human being will be really hit severely and beyond any repair. That's why, once again, I thank you for coming here. And I hope that we'll be together able to help your people. Thank you.
Thank you.
We still have a couple of minutes. The gentleman is...
Desculpa, ainda tenho mais uma pergunta, por favor.
Sorry, excuse, there was another one. If there's time. Sorry.
My name is Khaled, director of Vienna-based HASCO organization. His Excellency, please answer me with one word, yes or no. If we all witness this is the first time a large number of non-government organizations participated in the session. So can we hope in the SOCON in the future, such large number of non-government organizations, perhaps until the 13th session, participated in the future? Can we hope?
Yes or no?
Answer with 3 words, I hope so.
I want to hear from you directly from you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
I will try to do my best as from my position to really secure the presence, significant presence of NGOs, but it doesn't depend on me. So I do not want to create some kind of expectation that I can do miracles. But I believe we have really a good coalition of countries who actually support more presence of NGOs and so on. And we need to work with others who not fully appreciate and not see such a benefit as we see of your presence here. So once again, but we need for that both sides. We need those countries, and we need you to be engaged in a very constructive dialogue and communication. That's why, once again, I from my perspective, what I've heard from you cannot be perceived as anything dangerous for any government. On the contrary, I believe what you said can help everybody to address those challenges which we are all facing. And if, in case we do not do enough, they will haunt us or destroy our Earth and civilization very soon. I'm afraid that things are happening so fast that more needs to be done. The business as usual is not possible anymore. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, I think you just summed up the key issues very well. You've given us an hour of your time. We really appreciate it. We hope to keep engaging throughout the intersessional period. We will certainly be active as the Alliance and as the broader community of NGOs in the constructive dialogue process. And we really appreciate the open nature of your interaction with us here today and the time you spent listening to people from various backgrounds. So honestly, sincerely, thank you so much, and we'll see you again, I'm sure.
This is very important. This my actually first meeting with you, but I need to hear from you because, of course, I will be overwhelmed immediately after this conference ends with some other topics and so on. But many of them, as I mentioned, I'm dealing with on a daily basis. And that's why we just need to make this connection between things which are being discussed in the OEC, which are being discussed here in Vienna, in New York, and make really a concerted effort and synergetic kind of approaches, comprehensive approaches to use all the power and inputs we have. That's why this kind of working in silos should be something to overcome in the first place. Once again, thank you for this opportunity to meet with you and look forward to it. Yes, we had one more.
Okay.
Yes.
Eu sou Claudelice Santos, sou de uma comunidade tradicional no Pará, onde vai sediar a COP30 ano que vem.
Thank you, Mr. President. I come from a traditional community in Pará, one of the states in Brazil.
Eu gostaria de dizer que no nossos territórios o crime organizado está matando e está matando muito, principalmente mulheres.
I would like to mention that in our territories, organized crime is killing people, specifically women, and we're facing lots of threats around this issue.
E não é apenas tipo de crime organizado, é exploração ilegal de minério, é desaparecimento de pessoas e o tráfico usa o controle desse território, tornando as comunidades refém.
It's not only one type of organized crime. We're facing illegal mining, we're facing disappearances of people, and we're also facing drug trafficking impact.
O caso mais recente que teve repercussão foi o assassinato do Bruno e do Dom. Foi o crime organizado que assassinou eles.
This also includes the assassination of specific leaders in the communities because of drug trafficking and organized crime in the region.
O Brasil está muito perto de uma tríplice fronteira, onde o tráfico organizado, as organizações criminosas usam esse lugar complexo para ter o controle dos territórios.
The name of the person she wanted to mention is Bruno Infilippi, one of the leaders that was assassinated in the region. This also happens a lot in the triple frontier of the Amazon, where criminal organizations control the territory to gain advantage in the criminal markets present in the territory.
A minha pergunta principal é: como que as Nações Unidas olha especificamente para esse controle, né, onde as comunidades ficam reféns e sem conseguir espaços num lugar como esse para falar especificamente, né, desse controle do tráfico nos territórios?
Her specific question is, what is the United Nations doing right now to open more spaces for communities like hers to discuss the control of these specific groups in the Triple Frontier and what kind of spaces they can access for this type of discussions with the United Nations?
Muito obrigada. Thank you.
I think we discussed it, and I do not have anything more than I said already. But once again, let's work together. Let's find a way how we can create better access of all NGOs who are really aimed at helping on a global, regional, and national level to address those things. And let's create better platforms and more listening ear of everybody who is able to help. But beyond that, I do not have now any kind of suggestion which I would be able to tell you in response to what you said. Look, we all have a responsibility to do more in this regard, and we cannot leave anybody in any place unattended and without a proper kind of ability to help those people. So we need really, whenever these kind of injustice is happening, we need to be equally addressing and responding with a vigor to those facts. But unfortunately, still, our mechanisms are not perfect. And we need to work also through this platform of UNTOC to improve them and make sure that everybody who committed to the rules and commitments stemmed in the UNTOC and other legal instruments, that they are fully observed and implemented in practice. This is the only thing which I can say right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, should we leave it there? Okay, we close the meeting there. Thank you very much, and we look forward to the next occasion.
But I wanted to suggest that we can have a family photo if you are interested. Maybe.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, photographers need to guide us.